I was scrolling through Reddit the other day, like you do, and there was a post on there asking about why haven't the demons been able to defeat the devils yet? They're asking about the Blood War, the eternal war in Dungeons & Dragons lore between the unending horse of the abyss and the armies of hell. Me being me, when I saw that question, I immediately started to think about why neither side is ever going to be able to win because of fundamentally who these creatures are, what they believe in, what motivates them. Hi, I'm James, and on this channel I talk about the things that I think about, plan, and plot for my tabletop role-playing games. If you like that kind of content, then there's buttons down there for a like and subscribe. I want to be clear that you don't have to do anything special and unique with your devils. They could just be the next monster that you choose to throw against your party because you felt like it. That's basically what Dungeons & Dragons does. A random Yogoloth will just show up in the middle of a dungeon because they wanted to put one there. But if you want to do something different with your demons and your devils, if you want to provide a dark mirror to shine against the players, who are ostensibly supposed to be the heroes, if we want to explore storytelling worlds where evil will always ultimately defeat itself, what a comforting world that would be to live in, then we need to show why demons and devils are different from one another. And the more we are able to differentiate these different kinds of evil, the more tools we will have in our toolbox to contrast them to the players. There are few things more evil in Gygaxian fantasy than devils and demons. I've done a video before on my levels of villainy, but a quick refresher for anyone that hasn't seen that video. I, at my tables, define evil as destructively selfish. Selfishness is wanting something. Wanting is different from needing. I want a Switch 2, I need food. Wanting something and seeking it is not enough to make somebody evil. But if you're willing to do violence, cause misery, destruction to those in the immediate circle of your control in order to get a Switch 2, now we are talking about evil. And the more depraved that you are willing to be to get that thing, the more evil that person would be. I know a lot of people don't like the alignment system, and fair enough, you do you. But I'm going to assume, for the purposes of this video, that we can all agree that demons and devils in Dungeons & Dragons lore are evil things. We just need to find a way to express that evil differently so that it's different in the narrative and our players can understand it and care about it more than just which plane they go back to when they are finally banished. In the traditions of D20 fantasy, a demon's ultimate goal is to cause corruption, misery, and destruction. They want others to know that they can hurt them, corrupt them, and ultimately they're going to destroy them and everything. And I do mean everything. There is no loyalty among demons. They want to destroy each other as well. If a demon is serving another demon, it's because of intimidation. They might use persuasion to try to convince somebody not to destroy them, but this isn't any sort of hierarchical logic that says, we are a warrior species in an inhospitable landscape in a struggle for survival against an implacable foe. Of course, our strongest warrior should be the one in charge. It's purely domination and fear. This demon is going to consume my soul if I don't do what it says. Two demon lords of roughly equal power, take Demogorgon and Gross, would never be able to come together to go fight a common foe, say Asmodeus. Because they are demons and their fundamental guiding principle is satisfying their own destructive, selfish urges, they would always be plotting to betray one another at the worst possible moment as much as they're also plotting to defeat Asmodeus. They always have to depend on trying to be the one that is the first one to betray the other, or finding some way to flip a trap so that ultimately they're the one that survives. Because of that impulsive, destructive, untrustworthy nature, it is common to play demons as stupid engines of destruction. And some of them definitely are, but many of them are intelligent enough to come up with complex plots, having many layers of betrayal, and they are certainly intelligent enough to have a conversation with a player. It's a bad idea, they don't see you as an equal, they can't be trusted, and they are definitely going to betray you at the most inconvenient moment possible. But it is definitely a fun story for you to try. Every conversation the demon has, every plot that they hatch, every item that they're seeking is some way for the demon to gain more power. And to a demon, the purpose of power is to be able to further their own selfish, destructive goals. The Quasit is a demon that player characters are the most likely to have a conversation with. It's a familiar for many of the classes. At its heart, a Quasit is a coward. It doesn't have enough power to stand up against a group of low-level adventurers, and almost every other demon sees it as something to be dominated and abused. And the Quasit knows it. They prey on the helpless, the weak, and the desperate. They string their victim along, enjoying the game of playing with their food before they ultimately kill them. They take the money from orphanage. They kill the poor in back alleys. They'd sow distrust and seed lies so that they can send innocent people to the gallows and enjoy the pleasure of the misery that they cause. If caught, any deal, any information that this Quasit can give to avoid getting sent back to the abyss is worth it. Not that the player should be able to trust anything that it says. When first under threat, it will probably tell the truth, but it will default back to telling lies, making up facts, and just leaving things out to eventually mislead the players into their own destruction. It is not a clever being, and if the players start to use its own feelings of inadequacy and its low intelligence against it, it will eventually just start spilling information because it's trying to puff up its own importance. You must be the weakest demon there is. You're a tiny little toad that doesn't know anyone or anything of importance. You're out here picking on villagers and livestock because you're not important enough for even the most backwater of demon to include in their plans. Let's just kill this thing and be done with it.
Arrogant, stupid mortal! When Orcus is done in your crypts, he's going to turn your laughs to screams, and before he's done with you, I'm going to rip your teeth from your flapping jaws.
In the crypts, you say? Thanks for that. You can get rid of it now. A Glabrezus might see a group of adventurers as an opportunity. These demons are intelligent, they're charismatic, and they get people. They understand how they think, what it is they fear, and what it is that they want. While they will eventually destroy everything they can, first, they want to corrupt. The Glabrezus first offers information, seemingly at no cost. And when that information proves to be accurate, and the adventurers come seeking more, it offers new truths, carefully chosen to sow distrust and discord. Information about friends and allies delivered under the worst possible light at the worst possible time. Every revelation is calculated not just to destroy trust, but to shift the adventurer's worldview.
Everyone else is looking out for only themselves, indulging in their own base, dark desires. Where has your noble spirit gotten you? Why shouldn't you have something just for yourself?
The end game is always the same, corruption and then ruin. The Glabrezus doesn't want to just kill the hero. It wants to watch them fall. It wants to see hope curdle into something monstrous. And when the hero's usefulness ends, the Glabrezus will dispose of its toy. Unlike the pitiful Quasit, the Glabrezus is legitimately threatening. There is no way anyone is mistaking this as anything other than a threat. It is the perfect ally for a mid-level caster, the brawn to the caster's brain. Not that the Glabrezus is stupid. If you want to make something more of this demon than just a henchman, expand the plot further. Have it escape its master's leash. Keep it out of sight. It has darkness, telepathy, and flight. Somewhere during the fight, it gives crucial information to the party that leads to its master's downfall. A betrayal. It is a demon. And then have it escape. Later, it telepathically contacts a member of the party. Without magical protection, they can't stop it. It's not a spell. It threatens them. If you tell anyone I'm in contact with you, someone you care about dies. The Glabrezus isn't stupid enough to just go charging in when they tell someone. It will watch and wait till someone that player cares about is alone and vulnerable, and then it strikes. And then it contacts the player again.
I told you if you contacted anyone, there will be consequences. That's on you. Do it again, it will be worse. Do we understand one another?
Now the Glabrezus has a hostage, someone that they can use to sow distrust. In tabletop role-playing games, so many of the enemies just end up being engines of destructions. Goblins, orcs, ogres, dragons, demons, destroying everything they come across with abandon. The town, the caravan, the adventurers, whatever it is. But devils aren't like that. Devils don't just want to destroy. They have a cause that they are destroying for, and they would prefer it if they could convert you.
A true victory is to make your enemies see they were wrong to oppose you in the first place.
Dukat here is probably closer to a demon. He's vain, wrathful, and chaotic, but he comes from a militaristic, disciplined society that is bent on world conquest and has no issue with slavery and forced labor. They are very devilish. The devils are committed to a cause. It might be conquest, like the Cardassians, but it might be something like law. That's where the contract trope comes from. Law as a weapon rather than as a shield for the innocent. Maybe it's the pursuit of knowledge, no matter how many lives are destroyed in the process in the name of the next great experiment. Maybe it is capitalism, profit, taken to the darkest extreme where even souls have a price. Whatever it is, the devils are committed, disciplined, and coldly, immorally rational. And in a way, they have a point. Freedom and individuality breed differences. Differences create conflict. And if everybody thought, acted, did the same things, there would be no problems. Of course, somebody's going to have to be in charge and determine what everybody should be doing. Who better than me? That is the devil's dark promise. Peace through absolute control, absolute conformity. It's not enough for them that they have beliefs and values that they hold. They have to inflict those on others. They need you to feel what they feel, think like they think, do what they do. They want to convert you to being one of them. And if you're not willing to do so, if you resist, then you must be destroyed. Lesser devils fear their masters, of course. Fear is evil's weapon, whether you're a demon or a devil. But unlike the demons, they still believe in their master's cause, whatever that is. Like a cult, where the cult master is abusing all their followers, but the cultists still believe in what the cult master is preaching. They will scheme because they'd rather be the one at the top of the pile, at the top of the cult, dictating what everyone else below them is thinking and doing. But when the cause demands it, they can set their rivalry aside. They are a dark community unified by purpose. And just as with the forces of good, unity is power. The imp shares many of the qualities of its Quasit counterparts. It's small, weak, it's probably a coward by its very nature, but that's where the similarity ends. The imp is far more intelligent than its Quasit counterparts. It wouldn't just cause mindless destruction, pain. It's there to scheme, to create networks of influence, and to draw mortals into webs of servitude. An imp could be summoned to serve a mortal caster, but the imp's true loyalty is always to the cause of hell. When I introduce an imp to my campaign, I pick an archdevil up the chain. I don't need to know every devil in this chain of command, and it is unlikely that this imp answers directly to that archdevil. The important part is that I know the cause that this imp serves. When the adventurers encounter the imp, it might act sniveling and cowardly and as if it is forced to give up the information. But it wants to give information. It wants to ingratiate itself to the player characters. It wants to make them depend on it. Let's say that this imp serves Mammon, Archduke of Greed. Then everything that the imp offers will come with a price, and that price will rise. The longer the adventurers deal with this imp, the more despicable that price is going to be. It starts off with simple things like gold and treasure, but it doesn't end there. It will go to secrets, betrayals, lives, souls, and it will exact every price it can. All the while it watches, it listens, and it learns. It's a spy, and its true goal is information. When the adventurers finally send it screaming back to hell, it is going to report to its master every player weakness, every foolish deed, every alliance, and every enemy they made. Just like the Glabrezus, the Bone Devil isn't fooling anyone into believing this thing is not a threat. That's the point. Fear is its weapon as much as it is a demon's weapon. It is the interrogator of inquisitions, the torturer in the shadow of the throne, there to root out dissent and execute the opposition. I would use a Bone Devil to turn an ally into a tyrant, a villain, session by session, inch by inch. Early on in the campaign, the players discover a corrupt priest that has become a warlock and has summoned an imp. Despite the fact that they defeat the warlock and their imp familiar, they have some open questions. Did they work alone? Is there more corruption to find? Enter their ally Helios and Kaidi. He promises, I will look into this and I will find out more and I will report in while you go off to your other adventures out there in whatever wilderness and whatever dungeon you're going to go into. For a couple sessions, every time the players come back, Helios reports in. He's a little distraught. He hasn't found anything. Is there nothing to find, or is he just not finding it? Eventually, Helios will become desperate, and he makes a decision. I'm going to do this just once. I need the truth, he thinks. It's justified in this case, he believes. So he summons a devil. The imp has reported back to his master, and a Bone Devil answers the new call with the information from the imp. So when Helios asks it if there's more corruption, the Bone Devil knows about it, and the Bone Devil delivers. It provides collaborators, cultists, and murderers, and the next time the players come back into town, they are hanging in the town square. Individuals that the players would have defeated on their own anyway, so where's the harm? But meanwhile, in the shadows, the Bone Devil is fermenting dissent, spreading corruption, and paving the way for Helios to take more power. In later sessions, the players come back into town and find whispers. The streets are safer for some, But petty criminals are now disappearing, dissenters, and those that object to the crackdown in the name of safety. Eventually, there's a riot, and Helios puts it down. The players are called in to deal with the aftermath, and they find devils working openly. Where did they come from? What's going on here? Now is the time for the players to learn the truth. Power erodes empathy. It takes good people and allows them to do horrible things to others. That is the Bone Devil's purpose in the mortal world, to forge new tyrants, corrupt noble hearts until they beat to hell's rhythm. I would use the Bone Devil to show the players a good person who falls and why. Playing these kind of personifications of evil can get dark really quickly. Maybe err on the side of levity for your table. If they need to crack a joke to make it a little bit more lighthearted, let them do so. Maybe join in. Give the imp or the quasit a silly voice so they take it just a little less seriously. It is hard to deal with these kind of things for many people. We're talking about beings that are going to do the most evil, depraved things as a normal course of their day that human beings have ever come up with. You don't need to describe it to your players for the fact of these creatures to sink in. You can show them the shape of evil, and their imagination will fill in the rest. And if your table finds even that too much, it's okay. You can have these things just threaten violence as a normal course. I'll kill you and all everyone that you care about kind of things, and just leave it at that and just go back to cartoon evil. That is perfectly fine. You don't have to delve into these kind of things if you don't want to. This is for tables that want to explore what it means to truly be a good person and why that is different and where those lines are when lots of things are a shade of gray. Until next time, Dungeon Masters, remember you're a player too. Try to have some fun.